When the seven seals are broken, four riders will emerge from the shadows. Conquest, war, famine, and death. These are not just symbols, but a terrifying blueprint for the end of the world. For 2,000 years, this prophecy has haunted humanity. But what if the Four Horsemen aren't just biblical legend? What if they're a warning system that's more relevant today than ever before? The horsemen appear across three ancient texts, but their most famous depiction comes from Revelation chapter 6. Imagine a sacred scroll in God's hand, sealed with seven mystical seals. As Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, breaks each seal, he unleashes a new level of apocalyptic judgment. This isn't random destruction, it's a calculated unraveling of civilization. The first horseman rides a white horse, carrying a bow and wearing a crown. But is this Christ spreading the gospel, or something more sinister? Early Christians saw purity in white, but medieval scholars recognized a darker truth. This rider represents ideological conquest, the kind that starts with persuasive words and ends with forced submission. In our era of information warfare, his weapon might be a smartphone instead of a bow. The first horseman rides a white horse, carrying a bow and wearing a crown but showing dark twist. Fiery red symbolizes the bloodshed to come, but the real terror lies in the phrase, "Take peace from earth." This isn't just battlefield war. It's the destruction of trust between neighbors. The unraveling of social contracts begins with this rider's appearance. The upward-facing sword signals intention, not action. A psychological warfare before physical conflict. Today, we see this in polarized societies where civil discourse dies first. Violence follows later. The Red Horseman represents the point of no return in human conflict. Social media platforms are increasingly characterized by intense polarization. Where conquest was about domination, war is about pure destruction. The color red doesn't just represent blood, it represents rage, uncontrollable anger. This rider doesn't just bring war between nations, but war within communities. The intensity of these conflicts highlights the damaging effects of modern online polarization. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor, the ultimate social collapse. In modern times, we see this rider in the rise of civil unrest and ideological violence. The Great Sword isn't just a weapon, it's a symbol of decisions made in anger. Once drawn, it cannot be easily sheathed, just as war, once started, creates cycles of vengeance. The red horse charges forward, leaving scorched earth and broken alliances in its wake. This is the horseman that turns productive societies into battlefields. The black horse carries scales, representing economic injustice and artificial scarcity. The price is mentioned. A day's wages for basic food mirror modern wealth inequality, but notice what's protected. Oil and wine, luxuries of the elite while common people starve. This isn't just famine, it's engineered scarcity where the powerful thrive. The Black Rider doesn't cause famine through natural disaster, but through human greed. Systems designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. In contemporary terms, this horseman rides through stock markets and economic policies, where basic necessities become luxury items and survival becomes a daily struggle. This is the horseman of economic collapse and manufactured poverty. The only named horseman, Death rides a sickly pale horse, followed by Hades. But the real horror isn't death itself. It's the methods. Sword, famine, pestilence, wild beasts. This represents systemic collapse where all safeguards fail simultaneously. In pandemic times, we've seen how quickly modern medicine can be overwhelmed. Death comes not just from disease, but from the cascade failure of all systems. The pale color represents the sickness that precedes death, the weakening of the body politic. Hades following represents the bureaucratic machinery of death, the cold efficiency of mortality. This horseman doesn't just kill individuals, he kills societies, cultures, civilizations. The fourth seal, breaking, marks the point where recovery becomes impossible, where the cumulative damage from the first three horsemen creates terminal collapse. Beyond biblical interpretation, the horsemen represent four pillars of civilization collapse: ideological extremism, conquest, social breakdown, war, economic inequality, famine, and ecological, divided by health crises, death. We're experiencing all four simultaneously. Coincidence? Or ancient pattern recognition that transcends specific religions? The horsemen might be archetypes of human societal failure mechanisms, universal patterns that recur throughout history in different disguises. Conquest appears whenever ideology overrides humanity. War emerges when dialogue fails, and force becomes the only language. Famine follows when economic systems serve greed rather than need. Death arrives when all other systems have already failed. Here's the twist. In Zechariah, similar horsemen aren't destroyers but peacekeepers. This suggests the horsemen aren't inevitable doom, but a choice humanity makes. They represent forces we unleash through human decisions and collective actions, meaning we can also choose to rein them in through wisdom and cooperation. The four horsemen endure because they tap into fundamental fears about societal fragility. They're not just religious symbols, they're a psychological framework, a tool for understanding how civilizations end and how they might be preserved. The question isn't whether they're coming, but whether we're already riding with them, whether our current choices are accelerating their arrival or delaying it. The prophecy endures because it speaks to timeless human vulnerabilities. Our capacity for self-destruction matched only by our capacity for salvation. The scroll with 7 seals remains unbroken until we choose to break them. The Lamb opens the seals, but humanity provides the conditions for each horseman's release. In the end, the 4 horsemen are mirrors reflecting our collective choices. The apocalypse is not predetermined. It's a warning we choose to heed or ignore.